All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining the session this afternoon. So we'll start right immediately. We have Associate Professor Sam Moveh joining us. He and I go way back, I think almost 8 years now. We've known each other and we've collaborated on a few things. So, Mr. Sam and Prof. Sam, can you just turn on your camera and then test your microphone, and then you can start right ahead.
All right, thank you so much.
We can hear you, but we can't see you.
Okay. I think it will take a couple of minutes before you can see me.
All right, we can see you now.
All right. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I want to greet everyone. Good evening. Please, can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Thank you once again. Good evening to everyone, to all the participants, all presenters, and everyone who has been here from day one. Just like the moderator has said, my name is Samuel Moveh. I'm Nigerian. And I'm speaking to you all the way from Northern Europe, Latvia to be precise. That's the eastern shore of the Baltic Sea. I work here as an associate professor at one of the leading private universities in the Department of Computer Science and Robotics. So when the moderator reached out to me about presenting, I saw it as an opportunity for me to, speak on what we have actually been practicing in our institution. AI is something that we have embraced as scholars. We have embraced, the university has embraced it as something that would help us in terms of teaching, in terms of administration, in terms of research. That's if properly used and used correctly. So it was a good opportunity for me to just come and share some of my tricks, the little tricks I have in my sleeves whenever I'm doing any sort of research. All right, so I'll be sharing my slide now. Okay, let's see. Windows. All right, here we go. Please do let me know if you can see my screen, my slide.
We can see your screen now.
All right, thank you so much. So I'll be discussing on leveraging that artificial intelligence and effective academic writing. This is a strategy that I have been using. In fact, I just used it a couple of weeks ago to publish a paper from our research cluster with MDPI, a leading Q1 journal. So it's not something that we are just speaking. It's actually some of the tricks that we actually embrace and we use in terms of research. I wasn't here yesterday, but today I think I was here briefly when Dr. Bosede Edwards was talking about embracing AI. I think she has even said it all. It is time for us to embrace it, and with proper usage, it can help create that collaboration between human and machine itself. So today I'll be discussing on how we use it for carrying out research. I might not be able to carry out full hands-on experience because I'm not within the university complex. It's a Saturday. So most of our subscription only works when I'm working with the university's VPN or IPS. So I'm actually far from the university, that's why. So, like I said, I'm from the Department of Computer Science and Robotics. My presentation is going to be in 3 parts. Basically, I believe that there are so many academics here and teachers with wealth of experience, and they will agree with me with some of the things that I say here. I'll briefly introduce for those who don't know, the sequence of research. When you want to carry out any form of research, whether it's academic research or industrial research, there's a particular sequence. And we now see how AI can help us, reduce this sequence or simplify this sequence. But in other words, just simplify it. And we'll see some use case. During the time where most of us were doing our doctorate degree, you believe me that it wasn't easy. When you go and see your supervisor, you start discussing with your supervisor from day one on a possible research topic. And the first thing he would tell you is go and study 5,500 papers, 600 papers, 1,000 papers. You know, your mind is blown. How the hell am I going to start? Where would I start from? At that point, you're only familiar with Google Scholar. For some, they are a bit familiar with some database like Scopus and Web of Science and all that. But believe me, with the advent of AI, it has really streamlined all that headache. It has reduced all those drama that a lot of scholars face, young scholars face at the early stage of their research. All right. So now in carrying out a research, you need to identify your topic. Now, it's not just any topic, you know. Is it researchable? Is it a topic that when we decide to go deep, we are going to get resources? Is it a topic that is valid? Is it a topic that is going to validate something? Is it a topic that can help us solve a particular problem? So it's not just selecting a topic. So you have to identify research topic in the process of starting your research. And once you identify the research topic you want to do, next thing you need to check is to see, before you even start formulating any objectives or anything, is it something that is researchable? Can I get literature for it? If you cannot get literature, it means your resources are quite limited. Then once you check and you decide that, oh, I have found this literature, I think there are several literatures that, you know, that will back my topic. Then the next thing, you start formulating your research questions, your research objectives, start identifying.
Sam, is it possible
Yes.
for you to adjust your microphone or something? Your voice is very husky.
Okay. Oh, let me see. How about now? Is it better now?
Okay. Yes, it is.
All right, I'm so sorry. All right. So, like I said earlier, I'll raise my voice a bit. So when you are able to identify the research topic and you are able to decide that, okay, it's a topic that I can get literature, adequate literature, then you begin to formulate the research questions, the research objectives, the research graph. Then you choose whatever methodology you want to take based on the literature that you have found. Okay, Mr. A, Mr. B has done this, and based on this fact, I can do this. So you're now, you know, proposing a methodology that you're going to follow. The next thing, you have to bring out a plan. How do you intend to achieve this methodology? How do you intend to achieve the entire research goal itself? Then you start thinking of, okay, if this is how I want to do it, I need to get data, I need to analyze the data to draw a conclusion. Now, this entire process we do back then wasn't easy. But with the help of AI now, all these processes can be done, you know, as swift as possible. Now, we are not, as academics, we do not recommend that you allow AI do all this responsibility on its own, but rather you interact with the AI system. You understand? You are the one thinking. You allow, you know, you don't allow the AI think for you. You are the one with the intuition. You are the one with the intelligence. You are the one that will think, you know, and streamline your prompt so that you get what you want. So this entire process that used to take months at the first year of your research, for some PhD students, for some master students, it took, before they got to I think the stage of choosing a methodology, it took almost 1 year. But these days, within weeks or within days, you can achieve some of all this. So, and how can we achieve it? We can achieve it with the help of artificial intelligence. Now, when you ask a layman on the street, what is artificial intelligence? Everyone has different perception about what artificial intelligence is. And we cannot categorically say this person is wrong, this person is right, that person is right, this person is wrong. So I took the liberty of giving you 3 major definitions. If you look at it, these are broad perspectives in which people see or define artificial intelligence. So in Investopia, their definition for artificial intelligence was the technology that enables computer and machines to simulate human intelligence, okay? Basically, problem-solving capabilities of humans where an intelligent computer carries that out. And it allows them to rationalize and take actions.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Please, can you put your slide in slideshow?
It's on slideshow, actually. It's on slideshow. Can you see it now?
Okay, yeah. Yes,
Okay.
you can go ahead.
All right, thank you so much. So the second definition was given by Science Direct, and they defined it as a science and engineering that creates basically intelligent machines, particularly an intelligent computer that can perform whatever human-like tasks or human-like intelligence. Now, one of those human-like tasks involves what? Visual perceptions, speech recognition, decision making, language translation, computer vision, image processing. All right. So the ability for a computer to look at a particular image and process it and give us vital information makes that system intelligent. All right. Then Britannica, on the other hand, gave us their own definitions as the ability for that digital computer or a robot, however you might call it, to perform any task that is commonly associated with what we call intelligent beings. Now, what does this involve? It involves reasoning, learning, past experiences, and discovering what meanings are. So I left some few references here for you to read more. So these are broad definitions of what artificial intelligence stands for. In some cases, they see it as human-like intelligence. In some cases, they see them as intelligent machines that are able to carry out tasks that humans cannot carry out as fast as possible, or humans can't carry out. And in some cases, they see them as what? Intelligent beings that have the ability of reasoning, and they learn from their past in terms of patterns, recognition, and all that. And they also discover meaning. All right. So in the word of an enthusiast, he puts it this way: AI is basically a living, breathing technology. So if you understand what that means, you believe that it is evolving. It's evolving and it's going to do better. So today's class is not all about, or presentation is not about what AI is and what AI is not, but basically is how we can leverage this AI, how we can use them in terms of our research, in terms of identifying research gaps, research questions, developing what? Conceptual frameworks, developing a literature review, and selecting the right methodology. Now, there's always a right methodology. Not all methodologies are correct. You understand? There are some methodologies that might give you the required result, some might not give you the required result. So today we are going to see how we can use some major tools, not all, there are so many of them, believe me. I was doing a research a couple of days ago to see how many AI out there, are associated with research. Man, believe me, they go in hundreds, so many. Every day people keep developing one form of AI or the other, and they will say that it works with this. In my own case, I just select a few that works for me, and I've tested them. I've done a deep comparison between some of them, and I'll tell you how I did the deep comparison among some of them and why I decided to stick with some of them and why I don't use others. All right. So in order to do that, you need to bear in mind that there is what we call, you need to bear in mind that the fact that you are doing a research and you need these tools to help you, you also need to be very, very careful in the sense that you have to follow some basic ethics. You have to be very, very careful to avoid issues like transparency, accountability and all that. You have to be straightforward. You have to be exact. You have to be accurate with your information. Now, you agree with me that some of these AI systems are not always accurate. A typical example is ChatGPT. Sometimes ChatGPT will give you some hideous, claims and, some bogus, how do I put it, statement. And when you ask it to get you some citations from it, it gives you some citations that do not even exist. Now, like I said, a couple of weeks we published the paper. It's a deep review paper. We had over 170 literature citations. And at the end of the day, we discovered that some of those citations were not even what we expected it to be at the initial stage of that research. A lot of them were just not good. So we had to take the pain of going into some of these databases. I specifically use two databases. I use Scopus and I use IEEE. So I went into Scopus by virtue of the fact that I have an institutional login details. I went in and I had to pick each and every one of all these references to make sure that each of these references match with their DOIs. So you see, it's one thing to tell ChatGPT to do something for you, it's another thing to authenticate the validity of the document. So in order for us to do that, you need to check certain factors. One is what? Human oversight and control. You always treat the AI as a support tool. It's not here to replace you, all right? It's not there to replace your critical thinking, but it's to ensure that you are the main boss. So you treat the AI as a support tool, basically to help you do what you want to do or search for whatever you want to search. Then you maintain that control over the entire process of making your final decisions. AI doesn't make the decision for you. You make the decisions for yourself. A typical example is when you're interacting with ChatGPT, for instance, about a research topic. Now, you ask ChatGPT, I want to work in this area. And ChatGPT gives you some suggestions. You don't just pick those suggestions and go with it. No, you interact with it, all right? You explore, you prompt it, you ask more questions in a way we call personal prompting. You personalize it. All right, then you take the final decision. Now, why are you doing all this? Because you are trying to ensure what? Authenticity of whatever ChatGPT is giving you. You understand? You want to make sure that whatever information that you got from ChatGPT is validated and is correct. Not just as a statement, but even as a reference document. It means the document exists and it cited it properly. So in that case, you are to maintain that control all over before you take the decision. Then for clarity's sake, you have to use the tool for your research and maintain that research credibility and adhere to any guideline that you're working with. For instance, you want to publish a paper in Elsevier. All right, so you have to follow the referencing guidelines, you have to follow their writing style, you have to follow everything, and to make sure that everything is intact. Another typical example again, you might be writing a paper or getting information from ChatGPT, and all of a sudden ChatGPT is giving you information and it's giving you citations using the APA, the APA style. And you want to change it to numbering system. All right, so you should have control. It's very easy. You can just give it a simple prompt and it changes it for you because you want to publish in MDPI and MDPI uses numbering system. So you have to have that control and make sure that you follow each and every journal guideline. Then you also have to be responsible for every of the content that you publish, because you're not just putting out content out there, you're putting out content with your name. Not just your name, you're carrying the umbrella of your institution, your affiliation. Now, it is a thing of trust. So you have to be accountable. You don't just go online and publish things. If you follow the media of recent, you find a lot of journal publications, article publications that have been retracted because of the detection of AI. Now, it might sound very simple, but trust me, it's not simple. It's a heavy, 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 heavy crime, to the point where the so-called person will lose his job. So you need to verify every information, all right? Ideas and citation provided by AI. Like we said, you see AI as a tool. All right, you do the thinking, you use your critical thinking abilities and allow it to solve the problem for you or to simplify the problem for you. So we have what we call a sandwich framework, the use of AI, where we have the beginning, the middle, and the end. So where you use the AI to do what? To brainstorm, to explore topics. Back then, when we started our doctorate degree many years ago, for every young researcher, some 10, 15 years ago, they will tell you that each time they go to visit their supervisors, they're always brainstorming. They bring up this information, they check Google Scholar, okay? They go deeper, check Scopus. Sometimes they don't find related papers. Your supervisor will tell you, oh, in that case, you need to go back and do some research and come back and meet me. For once, I had 4 supervisors during my days. So I had to please each and every, supervisor. So when I see this one, I tell him this is the topic I want to work on. We find data. We hit a deadlock. He tells me, okay, go back, go and search, go and bring hundreds of it. So you have to brainstorm But these days, everything has changed. You can use AI to brainstorm. I can interact with ChatGPT or any other platform and say, okay, I want to work with self-driving cars. I want to work with autonomous cars. And I want to use computer vision, or I want to use, what you call it, a feature-based system. All right. And it will tell me the possibilities. It will tell me what I need to do and how I need to do it, of which I will now take, build on it, and expand my studies. Then at the end of the day, I identify a potential problem and I create a potential argument. Then at the middle stage, you perform what we call a core writing and structuring yourself. Okay, you leverage your expertise and traditional research method. What do we mean by leveraging on your expertise and traditional research method? Your essay writing skills, all right? So you have a structure, you have identified a particular potential pattern, you ask the AI to give you a structure on how you need to write it, then you now go back and leverage on your essay writing skills, all right? Now, the way we write in scientific journals are quite different from field to fields. So again, it depends on what field you're doing, so you have to be careful what you're writing. Then at the end of the day, you use the AI to check what you have written. All right. You can use that AI to again check the feedback of what you have written to identify clarity issues. Because one thing you are doing is you are writing for a particular audience. And you, at that point you are writing, your ultimate goal is to make sure that what you write does not bore the audience, but rather they find it interesting. So when you finish crafting your writing, you can give the AI for it to check the clarity. Is it readable? Does it make any sense? Are there punchlines? Is it really exhibiting the research gap that you have found? Then you refine your ideas, all right? Now you have done that, you have to address what we call bias. Now you have to be very, 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 very careful in this case. You have to be vigilant because biases in AI-generated suggestions and content and actively work, they work very, very well. So you have to be very careful so you don't be biased. In as much as you're being careful not to be biased again, you also have to be careful to avoid plagiarism. Avoid taking people's content because you wrote it yourself. Make sure you cite whoever's work you use and cite the person properly. You know, my supervisor once told me something once during my journey. He said, Sam, there is nothing new in terms of research. It's just you have to take time to look for it. So you cannot come and say, I did this, I did that, I did that. No, it's not I. Rather, I found this, I found this. This person did this, that person did that. So you have to give credit to whoever the person is. So AI models can sometimes reproduce content, you know, verbatim from other sources. And you might think that, okay, it is okay, but it's not okay. So this is why you have to check and to make sure to avoid plagiarism. Again, in this our academic business, it is a serious crime. So you always check for every unintentional plagiarism, you know, by cross-referencing all the AI-generated passages with primary sources. You have databases that you can log into manually to verify some of this information. You have Google Scholar, you have Scopus, you have the rest of it. Then you now focus your unique contribution. You know, you ensure that your research question and your introduction are now original and they reflect your intellectual contribution. So you see, you brainstorm with AI, you had a topic, all right? You asked it for a decent structure, you develop your structure, you gave it back for clarity, it went in and it did one or two things for you, you checked to see there was no bias in it, and checked to see that there were no plagiarism. Now, at that point, you can categorically say, okay, I have made some contributions based on what I have written, so my research and my introduction is original, all right? And it reflects my own contribution. But if you look at it, it was a collaborative effort between you and the AI, but the majority of the task was done by you. The critical thinking, the whole job was done by you, rather than being a compilation of all text. It's not just copy and paste, no. It's basically an interaction. I always tell some of my students, you interact with it like you're interacting with your supervisor. Now, the second part of your research is to develop what? Your conceptual framework. Now, and your literature review. You have found a topic, you have brainstormed with AI, you have written something, but then you need to develop your literature, then design your framework, your conceptual framework. Again, we have tons of tools. One of the tools I will use to show you much later if we have time is Napkin AI. We use this quite a lot. Back then during my PhD days, if I wanted to present an idea for understanding, I either use mind mapping tools we call mind mapping tools to draw it out, or I use flow charts. I draw flow charts, block diagrams to explain it. In control system, I draw a block diagram to tell you this is the input and this is the output, and I show you. But these days, with AI platform, just paste your ideas inside, and it gives you several visualization, and you select the ones you want. So at the end of it, I'll see if we can do that as well. So for your conceptual framework, you can use AI again to brainstorm the ideas, spotting the gaps in the literature and suggesting potential hypotheses. Then you also use that AI again to help you set the outline. Now, remember, you're using the AI to set the outline and structure your framework, not to write it for you. You do the writing. All right. Remember, you are a trained writer. You already know how to write essay. Prior to the advent of AI, we used to write all this stuff. So that skill is very, very, very valuable. But in this case, the time it will have taken you to sit down and begin to structure, okay, for this, I have to introduce it. I have to define this thing. I have to define that. I have to check what has been done before, what Mr. A did, what Mr. B. Now AI has arranged the structure for you. All you just need to do is write, get the literature, and you write it. And there are platforms, again, that can help you get literature as well. So you use these tools, again, to get the literature. And some of these platforms that I use, basically, very, very common. If you see, what you call it? Sorry, there's a typo there in Gemini AI. I use that a lot. There's GenSpark and there's Manus AI. Then Scispace as well. I use all this whenever I'm trying to build a literature. But one thing I did one day is I took my time. I decided to do an analysis between all these popular. I took, I think, 4 of them. And I did. It's a long time. I couldn't present it here because it's going to take a lot of time. But I discovered that among all of them, Gemini was one of the best. Basically, I had one particular prompt. I will show you the prompt to do a literature review for me and bring out the structure. I gave it certain prompts, certain questions, and I told it this is what I want and this is how I want it. Now, I use that same prompt for all these AI platforms. And at the end of the day, I realized that Gemini gave me the largest number of literature. And each of these literatures that I got, I validated them. I streamlined my literature to only IEEE and sometimes Scopus, because I use these 2 databases a lot. So when this AI system gives me this, I go back to the database. If I copy the, the DOI number that I got from the AI platform, and I paste it there, or I look for keywords and I paste it there. If I don't find it, then it means it's hallucinating. It's giving me false information. In fact, of all of them, the one that hallucinated most was Manus AI. So for that, I had rarely used that. I stick with Gemini and ChatGPT most times. Then again, I summarize. I leverage I leverage AI to generate summaries of all the papers. All right. Or I use Scispace. I just have several papers, put it in a tabular form for me, and identify the key methodologies or the finding across all these sources. Now, remember, the essence of this is to identify a gap so that I can propose a methodology for my studies. So I have used this AI to generate a structure. I have put in this information, gotten this PDF file or all these articles online. I have validated these articles manually by going to each and every one of their database and to validate them to be sure that they are correct. And at this point, I have identified some papers that I felt, okay, these papers are the key ones in terms of my methodology. I think these papers are the ones that are going to support my methodology and my framework, so I can go ahead and use this for my research. All right. Now, I get to the point where I have found my research questions, my objective, I've formulated my topics using AI. I've brainstormed with AI, we generated the topic, we got the gap, You know, I found literatures, I cross-referenced them with, to validate them with a database to be sure that, okay, all these information that you're giving me, they are very correct. If you tell me this paper was published in 2024 by Elsevier or by IEEE, and it's a conference paper or it's a journal paper by one of the journals there, let it be that it is that particular journal paper and that particular one. So I'm okay with that. I have formed my research gap, I have formed my methodology. Now I want to get my sample size. I want to ensure that the data used for my AI trainings accurately represents the population of interest that I have presented, right? In order not to be biased, all right? Again, I have to be very, very careful here. I can always take, what do you call it? I can always tell AI to propose any methodology for me, but that's not the case. I already have a methodology in mind that I want to adopt. So I have to stick with that methodology in mind that I want to adopt. I have to ask questions. I have to brainstorm again with the system in order not to be biased. I have to brainstorm again with the system in order not to be sure that the system is not hallucinating. Sometimes you find some people doing research. I had a student once who wanted to do a research, and the method he selected wasn't adequate. So I told him, okay, go and give me a list of methods, all the methods that we can use to achieve this particular task you want to achieve. And once you do that, give me at least 1 or 2 literature, you know, that use that particular method. And when the student came, in fact, by the time he came with a different mindset. He came with a different mindset that, oh, the first method I proposed is not going to fly. You were correct. In the process of reading different methods, in the process of, you know, streamlining all the literature to all these particular methods, I discovered that this is the one that was going to suit me. And by doing it, I believe that our research is going to be very good. And I said, good. So in that case, I don't need to tell you anything. So you have got to do the work yourself. You have discovered, you know, the setback, and you have fixed it yourself. So you have to be careful, because in this stage, the AI system can also give you a different methodology. And you carry out your data collection, you know, you carry out your data analysis, and at the end of the day, whatever result that was expected is not forthcoming. All right. So you obtain what we call an explicit and ongoing consent from individuals in the process of collecting your data, okay, and usage, adapting the process of AI. So you have to let your respondent, you know, depends again if what kind of research you are doing. In our case, we don't mostly do questionnaires. Sometimes we do experimental work. So we get data from some of our experimental studies. I might have a setup, for instance, of different cameras, like the recent project we call it a VSLAM project, where we created 8 cameras on a helmet. And we wanted to view have a whole 360 view. And all those 360 view, each of those images of each of the cameras, we needed to process it. So imagine the time it would have taken us to process each one of those pictures coming from each of those 8 cameras around the entire helmet. It would have taken time, but it was easy for me to use AI. You know, I just got all the pictures, put it inside, and I processed the image the way I wanted. And I told it exactly what I wanted, and I gathered all this information. I gathered the data, you know, and at the end of the day, I had no issues with false representation of data, because I was the one who fed the system the data. All right. So when it comes to data analysis, it cuts across every field. Again, like I said earlier, in one of the projects we're working on, it's easy for us to just upload an image in ChatGPT or in any of the AI platform like Julius that we're using. And when we do that, we analyze that image based on what we want. Back then, I used MATLAB. Back then, even before the advent of Python, during my PhD, what I did was I used to process images using MATLAB. First, I have to connect the camera to MATLAB. I have to capture the image from MATLAB. Then I have to pre-process the image, have to convert the image, have to do so many processes before I can even get valuable information from that. Just one picture. And at the end of the day, if it's a heavy picture, if it's a picture that involves motion, an image that involves motion picture or movement or video, it becomes very slow. Then we had to use Python. Even at that, Python was a bit faster. But these days it's much easier. I can just upload the same video to any of these platforms. And what it took me months back then, within few minutes or few hours, I can generate it, from getting all the edges of the image to getting the numbers of pixels from that image, to doing what we call image segmentation, cropping the image, resizing it, image localization, so many things we could do just within minutes or within hours. But back then it was a hideous process. You have to take your time and do it step by step. If you do not load the picture well in MATLAB, at the point when you write a simple syntax, it will tell you that it cannot locate the image that you're trying to process. Or sometimes it will tell you that you need to resize the image. But these days, Python makes, AI makes the whole thing easier. All right. So researchers should actively guide themselves using AI in terms of analysis, not just allow it to run without direction. You have to ensure clarity, prevent misinterpretation. All right. Then you have to regularly assess these ethical implications. It's not just once you imply, you continue have to do it. It's a constant thing of data analysis and necessary. Now, like I said, I have different tools that I use. I've used Julius before, I've used Vicili before, I've used ChatGTP before. But at the end of the day, every tool has its strength and has its weakness. But I always stick with, again, ChatGTP in most cases, because it gives me what I want. I already have an idea of the kind of result I want in terms of processing any form of computer vision image or any experiment I'm doing. I have an idea of what I'm expecting. So once I get it, I'm out of it. Okay. Now, achieving all this involves the right prompt engineering. All right. What is the right prompting that you're using? If you don't put the right prompt in, then you spend hours just on one simple task. Okay. So in order for you to identify your topic to even get to the point of even doing your analysis, it involves the right prompting. Okay. Here you can identify and analyze. Here I gave a simple example where I say you can identify and analyze research gap regarding, I gave a different topic here, totally different from my field. Impact of high transportation costs on the livelihood of an urban resident. All right. Then you can use any of these platforms that will help you generate it. Now, these are just few that I have used actually. There are so many of them. And one thing you need to bear in mind is most of these platforms are not free. In fact, they are not all free. All of them, they are not free. For me, I'm privileged to have been using some of them free because of my institution. Once I'm within the institution, I can use some of all this free. Once I'm far from it, some of them I cannot use it except I use a VPN. And today is Saturday, so the computer room is locked, so and all that, it's not possible. Okay, so I will not have the opportunity to go through all of this, but I will just explain some few. I have some screenshots of some of the works I've done to show you how it worked. Then I can show you again some of the prompts that I used, okay, in terms of identifying a research topic, especially when it comes to even the literature itself, identifying the right literature for your studies. All right, because if you don't get the right literature for your studies, it becomes a problem. All right. Now, your prompt will help you decide on, or we help streamline the speed of your research. Now, one of the very, very most popular one I use is Scopus AI. Now, not everyone has access to this. Like I said, it's institutional based. Your institution has to subscribe for it. It goes beyond you just having a Scopus account. You can create a Scopus account, have access to Scopus, but if you want to have the AI feature, it has to be paid for by your institution. So I'm privileged to have used this, or we use this once in a while in our institution. Sometimes the institution allows us to use it. Sometimes they block it, especially when it involves doctoral students. Most of our doctoral students or our postgraduate students are using it, we try to discourage them not to rely heavily on it, but to interact with it. At some point during their weekly presentation itself, we ask them to show us how they use it to arrive at whatever research questions or research gap that they are proposing, because we want to be sure that they actually did the right thing. They didn't just go and copy the whole thing and told ChatGPT, do this for me, and folded their arms and all that. So if you have this, it's very simple. As you can see, it comes here, you click on it, and it gives you a dialog box where you can just type in whatever prompt you want. So in this case, I asked for the impact of computer vision on additive manufacturing. So basically what it does for me is it goes into Scopus or any database that is linked with Scopus and look for all the papers that are related to this. All right, so it brings it out for me. And once it brings me out paper, it could bring me out as many as 1,000 papers. It could bring me as many as 10 papers. It could bring me as many as maybe 3 papers. So it depends on whatever content you are looking for. All right, now this is another screenshot of what came out when I typed it. Now, if you look at it, if you click on each of this, it gives you sources. It doesn't just give you a brief of some of the papers it fills. It gives you a summary, okay? It gives you a summary of everything. You understand? Then, if you want to expand that summary, it gives you the option again to expand the summary. And by the side, the article where it got that information from is there.
Hello, sir.
Hello?
Sorry, we are still on artificial intelligence. That's what is displaying on our screen. So I don't know which of the slide you're on at the moment.
Okay, that's strange. How about now? What slide do you see?
Start exploring.
Good. All right. So this is the first one, Scopus AI, like I was saying. I'm so sorry. Please, next time, just bring me back so that I don't have to go deep.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. So this is one of the ones we use in our university. We use this a lot. Like I said earlier, we encourage our students to use it, but also we guide them. This is a paid subscription by the institution. So every student has access to it. And also the university can shut it down. So any student who claims that he found his gap from doing literature in the Scopus database, we ask him, how did you do it? Come and give us a demonstration of how you did it. Did you use Scopus AI? Now, we encourage our students, and just like most journals today, they encourage you to declare at the beginning when you are submitting your papers for publication, if any form of AI was used in editing or in anything. So we encourage our students not to lie. You know, did you use AI in identifying your gap? In which database did you use? You say Scopus, great. All right, come and show us how you did it. So this is a screenshot of how it works. Can you see my next screen? Hello? 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 Hello?
Hello, sir. We can hear you.
Okay, so it gives you all the information about your prompting, also gives you suggested papers that you can expand on. If you want an expanded summary, it also gives you that expanded summary. Another one I use is Site AI. Same thing, where you use an AI research assistant, and it helps you get information. Same prompting, impact of computer vision on additive manufacturing. All right, it brings out everything for you. Here, the AI research assistant, what it does for you is, okay, it improves your research. It helps you, bring out everything that is very, very vital for you in terms of building your research gap. Then the next one that I use quite often again is what? Scispace. All right. Scispace also gives us the ability to find research literature review and also upload our own research literature review as well. And
you
gives
need
us
to move to the next slide.
Hello?
You are still on Scopus.
Wow. How about now?
Yeah, I think the window you're sharing is not, your slide is not in the presentation board. I think it's
What screen
not,
can you see now? What screen can you see now?
Here are suggestions. Maybe you are talking about Scispace, so you can just go to the Scispace
Okay.
page.
Can you see it now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I think it's the latency, the speed of the internet. All right. All right. So I use Scispace, especially when I have the what you call it, the data myself. I have all the PDFs myself. Maybe I got all the PDF from doing a systematic literature review using Scopus or using IEEE or Web of Science. So I upload it and I easily find my gap and the tables that it puts it in a tabular form for me to tell me which is relevant and which is important for my research. But most of the times, again, it all involves the prompting. All right. Now, can you see conceptual framework this diagram by Napkin?
So we're still in Scispace.
Oh shit.
I think it's lagging.
Yeah, the internet.
I think it's lagging. Yeah, well, we can get the slides. Since we get the
All right,
slides,
Okay.
can just round up
So-
since we get the
All right.
slides.
So the last one is Napkin AI. Napkin AI basically is what I use. I use that a lot. In fact, we use that a lot for at the early stage of our research. When you have an idea, we tell you to put it in form of a diagram. Let's see, once the idea is put in front of a flowchart or in front of a diagram, it gives us better understanding of the direction of your research. So Napkin AI, again, just like every other AI, they are not free, but the free version of Napkin AI is sufficient for you to create a simple conceptual framework. So all you just need to do is type in your ideas inside, and it gives you a list of different designs of flow diagrams where you can choose from whichever one you want. Now, like I said earlier, you are not relying on AI to solve the problem for you, but rather you're relying on AI to simplify the process. What would have taken you, let's say, 6 months to 1 year to carry out a decent research for a Q1 paper, you can't do that in less than 6 months. Back then, if we want to publish a paper in Q1, it took us between 6 months to a year before you get response, before you can even submit your first draft. But these days, with the advent of AI platforms, using them as support tools in terms of identifying the topic, in terms of getting the gap, the objective, and selecting the right methodology and helping in terms of analysis and structure of the paper, general editorial work. It simplifies that process to less than 6 months. But again, you have to be very, very careful. Validation is very important. Some of these platforms, a majority of these platforms can hallucinate. They can give you false information. They can take my name, my first name, and mix it with the moderator's second name and give us the same DOI. So you have to validate with platforms, cross platforms. I work basically with Scopus, Web of Science, and IEEE. These are the 3 cross platforms I work with academically. And any data I get using from any AI platform, I validate it manually from all these platforms. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry for the internet lagging.
Thank you, Prof. We'll get your slides and share it with everybody.
All right, I will send it to you.
Thank you for joining us. Look forward to further collaboration.